I think spying did occur. But the question is whether it was adequately predicated. And I'm not suggesting it wasn't adequately predicated, but I'd need to explore that.
Attorney General Bill Barr making good on his word, appointing top federal prosecutor John Durham to dig into the origins of the Russia collusion hoax and to determine if spying on the Trump campaign was politically motivated. This is totally boomeranged on the deep state, and the main players are starting to turn against each other now that the heat is turned up. The Obama State Department blaming the FBI, Brennan blaming Comey, and Comey and Rosenstein are apparently trading blows. Watch this.
I think people like that, like Rod Rosenstein, who are people of accomplishment, but not real sterling character, strong character.
Now the former director seems to be acting as a partisan pundit, selling books and earning speaking fees while speculating about the strength of my character.
Here with reaction, the host of Life, Liberty, and Levin, the great one, and the author of the upcoming book, Unfreedom of the Press, Mark Levin. And we're going to get to the book in a second. But Mark, this reminds me of, you know, when you're outside in the backyard and you pull a rock up and all the little bugs start scurrying around and looking for cover and start fighting each other. This is what's happening.
You know, Comey really is a reprobate, though. I mean, when it comes to the worst of the worst, he's the worst of the worst. You remember when he was fired by the president? Remember the Democrats wanted him fired until Trump actually fired him. He said, you know, it's the president. He can do whatever he wants. Now we know he leaked, and he was a coward when he leaked. He leaked through a law professor because he didn't want to get caught, but he got caught. All this going on at the FBI was taking place when he was director of the FBI. He's fighting with his former deputy director of the FBI. He says these outrageous things about the president of the United States. He's a real reprobate. And really, it goes back to President Obama. Obama with Comey, Obama with Brennan, Obama with Clapper, the three stooges of intelligence and law enforcement. A disaster. You know, I was chief of staff to an attorney general. We had serious people in these positions. And they never would leave their positions, retire, and then go on cable TV or anywhere else and start attacking, you know, the opposition party. You never heard from them again. Maybe they'd write a book. Maybe they'd join a think tank. These guys go over to MSNBC and CNN and these phony seminars or wherever they're going on and on. I mean, Jim Comey, seriously? The Russians were interfering with our election. Jim Comey was the director of the FBI. What the hell did he do about it? As far as I know, nothing effective, that's for sure.
Now, so usually conservatives get their hopes up when we think things are turning around. That's happened many times. You know, it's always the case where, you know, this is just about to happen and it doesn't. Or, you know, Hillary's about to get indicted and it doesn't happen. Is this going to be one of those times again where you appoint a prosecutor, Durham, great reputation, but it turns out no one gets punished?
You know, I never get my hopes up. I just plow ahead, and that's what we ought to do. I don't know this prosecutor in Connecticut. Everybody says he's great. I never heard of him before yesterday. You know, back in 1961, there was a gentleman by the name of Daniel Borstein. He became the head of the Library of Congress, and he wrote a book. And he used to call these things pseudo-events. So the president viscerally is right. And he says, when you look at the media, it's filled with pseudo-events. Collusion for 2 years was a pseudo-event. Obstruction, so-called is another pseudo-event. 700 prosecutors, former prosecutors, write a letter. There's tens of thousands of former prosecutors. So these are all liberals who hate Trump. Another pseudo-event. Some guy writes an op-ed in the New York Times, anonymous. Pseudo-event. And we spend days and weeks talking about non-news, and then it's filled with propaganda where they build. Look, we're connecting the dots of pseudo-events. And now we're talking about all these subpoenas and constitutional crisis, more pseudo-phony events.
Yeah, and the real events like the border crisis, they don't cover. Look at this book I have here, Mark Levin, Unfreedom of the Press. Now,
it's beautiful.
I mean, I cannot wait to dig my teeth into this thing. This thing's coming out May 21st, Tuesday.
Correct.
I don't know. Jim Acosta's got a book out. He says it's a dangerous time to tell the truth in America. I don't know. Acosta, Levin, how's it going to play out on the New York Times list?
Well, first of all, I didn't know Jim Acosta could read, let alone write, but that's okay. He's in my book, too, because he is a complete fraud, and his dramatic activities at the White House are intended to provide substance for his book. It's really an outrage. But you raise a very good point. What is unfreedom of the press about? We have a media, and then we have free press in the Constitution. They're two different things right now.
Yeah.
That which is undermining the free press is the modern mass media. And they're undermining the free press in several ways. And this is very, very important. Number one, they've decided to throw in one political party. You know, back in the 1800s, we had a party press. Media would side with one party or another. Now they side with one party. We know this from surveys and polls that go back decades.
Right.
Ideologically, they are progressives. There's simply no question about it. Again, we know from surveys and polls that they are liberal for the most part. What else do we know? Now we know that they've turned the corner. They're not interested in pursuing objective news. They say they will, and if you criticize them, they immediately say, oh, you're attacking freedom of the press.
Right.
They are social activists. That's what they've become. You can't see a dime's worth of difference between most newsrooms in this country and most journalists in this country and the Democrat Party, which is why they're so comfortable bringing Schiff on and Nadler on. They all sound alike and they all act alike. Now, Jesse, this isn't new, but it's gotten much worse. In 1942, there was a report by the media about the media. By the way, the media today is not circumspect. You'd never see a report by the media about the media today. Right. And one of the things they said back then was the greatest danger and fear should be the mixture of news with opinion. You know, we at Fox, we try to separate the two.
Right.
You're not a news guy. I'm not a news guy. We know who the news guys are and who the other people are, and that's great. You go over to CNN and you look at Don Lemon. Don Lemon is still characterized as a newsman.
Yeah.
Chris Cuomo is characterized as a newsman. These are not newsmen.
And that's why people don't trust the
makers.
media, because if they're going to lie about something as obvious as that, what else are they lying about? All right, here's the book, Unfreedom of the Press. Yeah. May 21st. Go out and grab it. There he is, Mark Levin. And Mark, when I have my big best-selling book out, I expect to be on the radio show, okay?
You got it, buddy. Thank you.
All right, thank you.